Elie Wiesel, a Jew who survived the Holocaust, wrote Night, a book describing his first-hand account of genocide. After I read his book as a sophomore in high school and took a college class on genocide, human suffering and genocide became more real to me. Genocide, as defined by the Genocide Convention in 2002, is the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. Research shows that the citizens of the United States took a lead role in stopping genocide in Darfur, and you can help stop future genocides as well. In order to show you how this is possible, I will be telling you about the background of Darfur and its genocide, how the United States responded to the Darfur genocide, and what we can do as American citizens to prevent future genocide. To begin, I will give you the background of Darfur and the genocide that is taking place there. According to an article written on March 10, 2011, by the Minorities at Risk Project, Sudan is the largest country in Africa. Darfur, a region in western Sudan, as you can see here on my Africa map, on my poster, is about twice the size as the state of Nebraska. 50% of the Darfur's population are black farmers who mostly live in the rural areas of Darfur. Arabs make up the other 50% of Darfur's population. Both the black farmers and the Arabs share the religion of Islam. In an article that appeared in the October 2012 Canadian Social Science magazine, Saka Lockman and A.J. Omid described how the Darfur conflict began in the 1980s when a devastating drought destroyed the region's ecology and set the stage of violence between black farmers and nomadic Arabs. Arab herdsmen of northern Darfur began to move south into the farming grounds in search of land to graze. As Sarah Mazzocchi described in her 2012 article, the excessive grazing by the Arab herdsmen livestock damaged the black farmers' farmland, and as a result, the farmers began to fight back and defend their land. Their conditions continued to worsen in the 1990s and forced the Arabs to continue to move into the farmers' land, causing further violence. The Sudanese government did step in and stop the fighting, but did not solve the conflict. The farmers' tempers began to boil over. They formed the Sudanese Liberation Army and bombed and took over the military outpost, and during the next several months killed hundreds of soldiers. Mazzocchi reported that the Sudanese government then responded by coordinating airstrikes with the local, newly armed Arab tribesmen known as the Janjaweed. This strategy laid the foundation for the later brutalities committed against the unarmed black African citizens, including mass murder and rape. Following the government's air attacks, the Janjaweeds stole the farmers' cattle, set their houses on fire, and poisoned wells, assaulted and killed men, raped women of all ages, and even threw small children back into the flaming houses, as described by Rebecca Frey in her book, Genocide and International Justice. The situation affected nearly all of the civilians of Darfur. Since 2003, Lockman and Omid stated in a February 2012 article that more than 400,000 people have been killed, and 2 million people have been displaced in camps across Darfur or as refugees in eastern Chad. This does not include the countless people who were maimed, raped, and assaulted. Now that some background has been established, I can now tell you how the U.S. responded to this atrocity. Even though international response was not immediate, the United States took a lead role in stopping the genocide. In a Political Science Quarterly article by Eric Hines published in October 2012, 52 senators sent a letter to Secretary of State Colin Powell, urging an increase in assistance to Darfur, targeting sanctions, a travel ban, freezing of assets, and a UN resolution calling for robust monitoring and peacekeeping. In June of 2004, Powell arrived in Darfur to invest the killings. In July 2004, the U.S. Congress passed a resolution that condemned the Darfur violence as a genocide. The U.S. government was further pressured to intervene by American evangelicals, African American leaders, and advocates for human rights. It was not only the government getting involved, but the citizens of the United States as well. Nearly 4 years after the Darfur atrocities began, the United Nations Security Council finally got involved and authorized a joint peacekeeping mission of 26,000 troops, according to Lockman and Omid. Since the United Nations took over in January of 2008, similar events have followed. The United Nations has since reported that there has been a decline in ethnic violence and a decline in overall deaths from the previous year, and 150,000 displaced people have returned to their homes. In 2012, it was reported that an estimated 1.7 million Darfuris remain displaced and live in camps, and 3 million people in Darfur receive food aid. Although there has been a decline in killings, it is saddening to know such a large number of people are still exiled from their homes. When the conflict is still not totally settled in Darfur, the United States continues to take steps to stop crimes against humanity. It is important that America continues to take a stand against genocide. It is also important that we as American citizens do our part in preventing crimes against humans. Joe Matika, a Malawi citizen, stated in an interview on July 31st, 2013, that we all live in and share this world. Once Darfur realizes this, peace will be made. In their book, Not on Our Watch, The Mission to End Genocide in Darfur and Beyond, John Cheadle and John Pendergast lay out 6 strategies for effective changes to follow so we can make a difference. And these are the 6 strategies right here on my poster. The first one is to raise awareness. Educating yourself and others is an important part of this strategy. Since today's generation is more technological than ever, it would be very easy to make this problem known to many people by blogging or tweeting. You could also ask your newspaper to cover conflicts such as the one in Darfur. The second strategy is to raise funds. This can be done by simply giving donations or organizing a fundraiser in the local community. The third way is to write letters. You could write a letter to your representatives and ask them to take specific actions for crisis situations, or write a letter to the editor of your local newspaper. Another strategy is to call for divestment. If there are companies that are somehow involved in or supporting atrocities, do not support them. The fifth strategy laid out is to join an organization. There are many organizations who work to make changes. Find one that interests you. The last strategy is to lobby the government. You can find out how your representatives are voting on bills related to genocide or crimes against humans. You can meet with them and convince them to talk about these terrible events. It is important that the United States and its citizens continue to take a lead role in the ongoing fight against genocide. You all now know the background of Darfur, how the United States responded to the genocide in Darfur, and how you can help prevent future genocide. As Sarah Mazzocchi stated in her 2012 journal article, the only thing worse than genocide itself is knowing about it and doing nothing.